Access to Elected Office Fund Wales. What is the Access to Elected Office Fund Wales? The Access to Elected Office Fund Wales aims to remove the barriers faced by disabled people seeking elected office by providing assistance towards the cost of reasonable adjustments and support. The fund is administered by Disability Wales with funding from the Welsh Government. Following the success of the fund for the 2021 Senedd Cymru election and 2022 Welsh local government elections, Welsh Government has given approval for the fund to be made available to disabled candidates standing in the Senedd in May 2026 and the local government elections in May 2027. Who is eligible to apply to the fund? You are eligible to apply to the fund if you are a disabled person wanting to stand in the elections and need help towards the cost of the reasonable adjustments required to overcome the impairment-related barriers that would otherwise prevent you from standing. You are eligible whether you are intending to stand for the Senedd, your local authority, such as a borough, county or city council, or your community or town council. You can apply whether you are standing for a political party or as an independent. What costs can be applied for? The costs you can apply for include things like assistive aids, equipment and software, adaptations to equipment and training in its use, travel around the constituency if you cannot use public transport, personal assistance, such as BSL interpreters, palantypists, and lip speakers. The fund cannot assist you with the normal costs of campaigning that would be incurred by a non-disabled candidate. Here are some examples of the type of costs you can apply to the fund for help with. Dyfrig is severely sight impaired and finds it difficult to negotiate the obstacles in the way when leafleting and canvassing the houses in his ward. He can apply to the fund for financial assistance for a personal assistant to accompany him when canvassing and leafleting. Bethan is a wheelchair user and faces barriers to the use of public transport to get around her ward, to canvass and attend political hustings. She can apply to the fund to cover the additional costs of taxis. Habib has dyslexia and has difficulty reading and responding to emails from voters. He can apply to the fund for screen reader assistive technology to read his emails. Denisa is deaf, and she feels excluded from political hustings because without a BSL interpreter, she is unable to follow and contribute to the debate. She can apply to the fund for assistance with the cost of a BSL interpreter. The financial assistance awarded by the fund is available to meet costs incurred in the time period from the close of nominations all the way to the declaration of the election result. How do I apply? First, you should consult the Electoral Commission website to confirm that you are eligible to stand in the election. Once you have confirmed your eligibility and intend to stand, you should look at the information and application on the Access to Elected Office Fund Wales project page at the Disability Wales website, or email electedofficefund@disabilitywales.org for an application form in your preferred format. How to complete the application form. To apply for assistance from the fund, you will be asked to complete an application form. The form can be provided in accessible formats and is available in English and Welsh. If you have difficulties completing the form yourself, we can arrange for someone to go through it with you and complete on your behalf. The form prompts you to think about the reasonable adjustments you require in relation to these 5 areas. Assistive aids, equipment and software, adaptations to equipment and training in its use. Travel around the constituency if you cannot use public transport. Personal assistance. Communication support workers such as BSL interpreters, palantypists and lip speakers, and any other reasonable adjustment not covered above. For each of these, you will be asked to describe the impairment-related barrier you face, the reasonable adjustment you require to overcome the barrier, and how these relate to your planned campaign activities. Before completing the application form, you should set aside some time to think about your campaign plans. Will you be doing a door-to-door canvassing? Attending political hustings? Or a social media campaign? How much support will your campaign team be able to provide? And what reasonable adjustments can they make for your impairment-related barriers? What campaign activities will you be undertaking? And how much of that activity do you expect to do yourself? Then you will need to think about the impairment-related barriers you might face during your campaigning activities, and what reasonable adjustments would enable you to overcome those barriers. If you are uncertain about this, please contact us, and we will be happy to discuss and make suggestions. The more detailed information you are able to provide about your planned campaigning activities, the easier and quicker we will be able to ensure any support awarded can be put in place. How are decisions made? Once your application is received, Disability Wales will calculate the type and amount of support you require. This will be set out in a document which we will ask you to approve. An anonymised version will be presented to the decision-making panel, consisting of members with lived experience of disability and of making reasonable adjustments. They will review your application against the fund criteria. We will then notify you of the decision. If you are successful, you will receive an award letter and a copy of our terms and conditions to sign and return. If you are unsuccessful, you will be given feedback and Disability Wales will discuss your options. How to contact us? You can contact the fund by emailing electedofficefund@disabilitywales.org or by calling Disability Wales on 029 2088 7325.